The political arena was heating up as Cory Booker, the outspoken senator from New Jersey, made a bold move to challenge Pam Bondi, the former Attorney General of Florida, on a high-profile policy issue. Booker, known for his passionate speeches and progressive stance, aimed to criticize Bondi's record on consumer protection and civil rights. As Booker took the floor during a televised debate, he launched into a sharp critique, calling Bondi's tenure ineffective and at times harmful to vulnerable communities. He accused her of failing to hold powerful corporations accountable and questioned her commitment to justice. Pam Bondi remained calm but resolute as she listened to Booker's accusations. When it was her turn to speak, she didn't hold back. With a firm tone, she reminded the audience of her record, emphasizing the reforms she had implemented and the tough cases she had prosecuted against major corporations. "Senator Booker," Bondi said, "while your rhetoric sounds compelling, it lacks the substance of real-world results. During my time as Attorney General, I prioritized protecting Florida's families from fraud, abuse, and exploitation. My record shows commitment, not just words." Her response resonated with many viewers who saw her as a strong, decisive leader unafraid to stand her ground. Cory Booker, clearly taken aback by Bondi's confident rebuttal, tried to regain his footing. He pointed to specific cases where, in his view, Bondi could have done more to fight against systemic injustices, particularly in areas like predatory lending and consumer fraud that disproportionately affected low-income communities. "We need leaders who don't just react to problems but anticipate and dismantle the systems that create them," Booker argued passionately. But Bondi was ready for that line of attack. She countered by highlighting the political complexities and legal challenges she faced while serving as Attorney General. "Leadership isn't about grandstanding or empty promises," she explained. "It's about navigating difficult legal terrain and making tough decisions that balance justice with practicality. I worked within the system to bring tangible improvements to millions of Floridians." She went further, pointing out that Booker's proposals often lacked feasible plans for implementation, accusing him of idealistic rhetoric disconnected from the realities of governance. Bondi's sharp critique struck a chord with many moderate voters who valued experience over idealism. The exchange quickly became a defining moment in their political rivalry. Media outlets seized on the spirited debate, framing it as a clash between two contrasting visions: Booker's progressive activism versus Bondi's pragmatic conservatism. Social media exploded with reactions, dividing supporters and sparking heated discussions nationwide. As the dust settled, one thing was clear: Pam Bondi had responded strongly and strategically, proving she was not someone to be easily challenged. In the days following the heated exchange, the political spotlight remained firmly on Pam Bondi and Cory Booker. Analysts and commentators dissected every word, trying to predict how this confrontation might shift the balance of power within their respective parties. Bondi's ability to stand her ground had earned her renewed respect among her conservative base, while Booker's supporters appreciated his willingness to push hard for reform, even if it meant taking risks. Behind the scenes, both camps prepared for the next phase of the battle. Bondi's team launched a carefully crafted media campaign, emphasizing her record of tangible results and framing her as a pragmatic problem solver who could deliver real-world solutions in a divided political landscape. They highlighted her successes in cracking down on fraud and protecting consumers, aiming to solidify her image as a champion of everyday people. Meanwhile, Booker's team doubled down on grassroots outreach, rallying progressive activists and younger voters who were hungry for bold changes to the status quo. They portrayed Booker as a visionary leader unafraid to challenge entrenched interests, arguing that Bondi's approach was too cautious and insufficient to address systemic inequality. The contrast between their strategies underscored a deeper ideological divide that was shaping the national conversation. Was the future of American politics one of pragmatic incrementalism or radical transformation? Bondi and Booker embodied those competing visions, each wielding their political capital to sway public opinion. Amidst the fierce back and forth, unexpected alliances began to form. Some moderate Democrats, impressed by Bondi's handling of legal complexities, hinted at the possibility of crossing party lines on key issues. At the same time, a few Republicans acknowledged the need for reforms that Booker advocated, showing that the debate had opened new channels for dialogue. As the political climate grew increasingly polarized, Bondi and Booker found themselves at the center of a broader debate about leadership, responsibility, and the future direction of their parties. Their clash was more than a personal rivalry, it was a microcosm of the ideological battles shaping the nation. For Pam Bondi, the challenge had become an opportunity. By responding strongly and strategically, She had not only defended her record but also positioned herself as a formidable force capable of influencing the trajectory of American politics. As the months unfolded, the political tension between Pam Bondi and Cory Booker continued to shape public discourse. Both leaders remained active on the campaign trail, engaging with constituents and debating policy with renewed vigor. Their earlier confrontation became a touchstone for discussions about leadership style, political values, and the challenges facing the country. Pam Bondi used her platform to advocate for a blend of law and order policies and consumer protections, emphasizing that stability and justice could coexist. She traveled across Florida and neighboring states, attending town halls and forums where she articulated a vision of government that balanced accountability with compassion. Her message resonated strongly with voters who sought practical solutions amid growing political uncertainty. Cory Booker, meanwhile, intensified his push for progressive reforms, focusing on issues like criminal justice reform, affordable housing, and economic equality. His passionate speeches and personal stories drew enthusiastic crowds, particularly among younger voters and marginalized communities. Booker framed the political fight not just as a contest of ideas but as a moral imperative to transform society. Despite their differences, there were moments when the two crossed paths unexpectedly, each recognizing the other's political skill and dedication. Behind closed doors, aides occasionally discussed potential areas of cooperation, such as bipartisan efforts to combat opioid addiction and enhance disaster response. Issues both agreed were urgent and nonpartisan. The rivalry, while fierce, underscored the complexities of modern politics, where ideological battles often intersect with the need for practical governance. Pam Bondi's strong response to Booker's challenge had elevated her profile beyond her traditional base, while Booker's persistence ensured progressive voices remained central to national debates. Ultimately, their clash symbolized a larger narrative about America's future, the ongoing struggle between progress and pragmatism, idealism and experience. For voters, the contest between Bondi and Booker offered a clear choice, and a reminder that effective leadership requires both conviction and adaptability. As the next election cycle approached, both politicians prepared for what promised to be one of the most closely watched political battles in recent memory. The question on everyone's mind was no longer just who would win, but how their differing visions would shape the path forward for the nation. As election season drew nearer, the stakes grew higher for both Pam Bondi and Cory Booker. The public debates, previously confined to televised events and campaign rallies, began to permeate every aspect of political discourse, from social media platforms to local community meetings. The tension between the two became emblematic of a broader national crossroads, forcing voters to confront the defining questions of their time. Bondi doubled down on her message of seasoned leadership. She emphasized her legal expertise and experience navigating complex political landscapes, arguing that bold ideas without grounded execution often lead to chaos. In speeches and interviews, she stressed the importance of unity, law and order, and protecting citizens from both internal and external threats. Her narrative portrayed her as a steady hand amidst turbulent times, someone who could safeguard both the economy and civil liberties. Booker, in contrast, framed the election as a referendum on hope and transformation. He appealed to a younger, more diverse electorate hungry for systemic change, often citing personal stories to highlight persistent inequalities. His platform called for sweeping reforms in education, healthcare, and criminal justice, positioning himself as a leader willing to break down barriers and challenge entrenched power structures. Booker's charisma and optimistic vision inspired a loyal following, even as critics dismissed his proposals as overly ambitious. Behind the scenes, both campaigns engaged in fierce strategizing. Bondi's advisors analyzed polling data, targeting swing districts where her tough-on-crime stance resonated. Booker's team mobilized grassroots volunteers, focusing on voter registration drives and community organizing. The media spotlight intensified, amplifying every misstep and victory. Interestingly, as the campaigns progressed, the rigid lines between their positions began to blur in certain policy areas. Both recognized the urgent need to address climate change, infrastructure modernization, and the opioid crisis. In rare moments of bipartisan dialogue, whispers circulated about potential collaboration post-election, underscoring a mutual acknowledgement of shared responsibilities beyond political rivalry. For voters, the choice was far from simple. Bondi's supporters valued her pragmatic approach and proven track record, while Booker's backers embraced his bold vision for the future. Town halls and forums became arenas for passionate debate, reflecting the nation's ideological divide. As election day loomed, the campaign trail had transformed into a microcosm of America itself, a nation wrestling with its identity, values, and direction. Pam Bondi's strong response to Cory Booker's challenge had evolved from a single heated exchange into a sustained contest that captured the hopes and fears of millions. Ultimately, the story of Bondi and Booker was more than a political rivalry, it was a testament to democracy's enduring vitality. It reminded everyone that in the clash of ideas, the strength of conviction and the willingness to listen could pave the way toward a more inclusive and resilient future. As the final days before the election ticked away, both Pam Bondi and Cory Booker intensified their efforts to connect with voters on a personal level. Their campaigns transformed into more than just political contests. They became narratives of identity, values, and the kind of future Americans wanted to build. Bondi's message remained clear and unwavering, leadership grounded in experience and pragmatism. She traveled tirelessly across key battleground regions, often sharing stories of her work as Attorney General, highlighting how she had fought fraud, protected families, and upheld the rule of law. Her speeches underscored the importance of stability and accountability in a time of uncertainty. To her supporters, she embodied resilience and a steady hand in turbulent times. Booker's campaign, fueled by a coalition of activists, young voters, and progressives, echoed a different sentiment. He spoke passionately about hope, change, and justice. He shared personal anecdotes about overcoming adversity and championed policies designed to dismantle systemic inequality. Booker's vision was inspiring, but also polarizing to some. Yet, his charisma and commitment to inclusivity energized his base and drew national attention. Despite their differences, a mutual respect emerged between the two figures, one forged in the heat of debate but tempered by the shared burden of public service. In private moments, aides noted subtle acknowledgments of each other's strengths, even as the rivalry played out publicly with increasing intensity. The election itself became a reflection of the nation's deeper divisions. Voters were not simply choosing between two candidates, they were casting ballots for two very different philosophies of governance. The media framed it as a pivotal moment, an ideological crossroads where the future direction of the country would be decided. When the results were finally announced, the margin was narrow, highlighting just how divided the electorate had become. Bondi's supporters celebrated her victory as a validation of steady leadership and practical solutions. Booker's camp, though disappointed, vowed to continue fighting for progressive change, viewing the election as just one chapter in a longer struggle. In the aftermath, Bondi extended a hand toward healing and cooperation, signaling a willingness to work across the aisle. Her response demonstrated that while political battles could be fierce, the ultimate goal was governance that served all citizens. The story of Pam Bondi and Cory Booker's clash had captured the nation's imagination, illustrating how political discourse, when spirited but respectful, can elevate democracy rather than fracture it. Their rivalry underscored the importance of strong voices on all sides, reminding Americans that the strength of the republic lies in its diversity of thought and the resilience of its institutions. As the political landscape evolved, the legacy of their confrontation endured, a testament to the power of principled leadership, the necessity of dialogue, and the enduring hope for a better future. In the months following the election, the political landscape began to shift, shaped in no small part by the dynamic clash between Pam Bondi and Cory Booker. Their debate and rivalry had ignited conversations far beyond their immediate constituencies, inspiring citizens from all walks of life to engage more deeply with the political process. Voter turnout had increased, public forums were filled with passionate discussions, and a renewed sense of civic responsibility was palpable across the nation. Pam Bondi, now firmly established in her leadership role, faced the daunting task of governing a deeply divided electorate. She knew that victory at the polls was only the beginning. The real challenge lay in bridging gaps and finding common ground amid contrasting ideologies. Bondi's approach remained grounded in pragmatism, prioritizing effective governance and tangible results over partisan grandstanding. Recognizing the powerful mandate for change expressed by Booker's supporters, Bondi sought to incorporate elements of progressive reform into her agenda. She convened bipartisan working groups focused on issues like criminal justice reform, healthcare accessibility, and economic opportunity. These efforts demonstrated her commitment to responsive leadership, acknowledging that the nation's problems were complex and multifaceted. Cory Booker, meanwhile, did not retreat from the spotlight. Though defeated, he continued to be a vocal advocate for systemic change, leveraging his platform to push for legislative reforms and grassroots mobilization. Booker's vision persisted as a rallying cry for activists and communities striving for equity and justice. Interestingly, the intense public scrutiny and debates between Bondi and Booker fostered a new political culture. One that, while still fiercely contested, encouraged dialogue and mutual understanding. Their exchanges highlighted the importance of strong, principled leadership on both sides and the necessity of balancing conviction with collaboration. As the nation navigated challenges ranging from economic recovery to social justice, the legacy of their confrontation became a blueprint for engagement. Voters, policymakers, and political leaders alike recognized that the future demanded leaders who could both inspire hope and deliver results. Pam Bondi's firm and strategic response to Cory Booker's challenge had evolved from a singular political battle into a defining moment for American democracy. It underscored the value of resilience, adaptability, and the courage to confront difficult issues head-on. Looking forward, both Bondi and Booker remained influential figures in the ongoing story of the nation's political evolution. Their rivalry had been fierce, but it was also a catalyst, pushing the boundaries of discourse and encouraging a deeper commitment to the ideals that sustain a vibrant democracy. In the end, their story was not just about who won or lost, but about the enduring power of democratic engagement, the idea that through debate, challenge, and dialogue, a stronger and more inclusive future is possible. As the political dust settled, the clash between Pam Bondi and Cory Booker left an indelible mark not only on their careers but on the broader political landscape. What began as a sharp confrontation in a televised debate had blossomed into a defining moment of a generation, one that revealed the complexity, challenges, and possibilities of American democracy. Pam Bondi, having proven her resilience and strategic acumen, transitioned from a combative campaigner into a leader focused on governance and unity. She understood that winning an election was not an endpoint but a mandate to serve all constituents, regardless of political affiliation. Bondi's tenure was marked by efforts to heal partisan divides, promoting policies that sought to balance law and order with social justice, and economic growth with consumer protections. Her willingness to engage across ideological lines earned her respect from unexpected quarters, signaling a shift toward more pragmatic, solutions-driven politics. For Cory Booker, the defeat was a catalyst for reflection and renewed activism. Rather than retreating, he used the experience to refine his message and expand his coalition. Booker's voice remained a vital force in progressive circles, championing systemic reforms and mobilizing grassroots movements. His commitment to inclusivity and justice inspired a new wave of leaders who viewed his campaign not simply as a loss, but as part of a broader, ongoing struggle for change. The intense rivalry between Bondi and Booker also transformed public expectations of political discourse. Citizens grew more engaged and demanding of their leaders, seeking authenticity, accountability, and clear vision. The media coverage of their debates and campaigns set a new standard for civility combined with passion, proof that political disagreements could be both fierce and respectful. Importantly, their story underscored a central truth about democracy. It thrives not when leaders avoid conflict, but when they confront it with courage and integrity. Through their challenges, both politicians demonstrated that disagreement need not fracture a nation but can instead fuel progress. As the years passed, the political dialogue they ignited influenced policies and leaders well beyond their own tenures. Bipartisan initiatives on criminal justice reform, consumer protection, and economic opportunity gained momentum, often rooted in the ideas and debates sparked by their confrontation. The lessons learned from their engagement informed a generation of politicians who sought to marry conviction with compromise. Looking back, the clash between Pam Bondi and Cory Booker was more than a contest for power. It was a testament to the enduring spirit of American democracy. It highlighted the importance of strong leadership, open dialogue, and the willingness to listen as much as to speak. Their rivalry, intense and at times polarizing, ultimately became a symbol of hope, that even in the most contentious moments, political leaders can rise above division to work toward a common good. In the end, the legacy of Pam Bondi's strong response to Cory Booker's challenge was a reaffirmation of democracy's promise, that through debate, challenge, and the pursuit of justice, a nation continually renews itself and moves forward.